It's one of the crown jewels of sportsman racing, and it's coming up today on Speedway Showcase. The 75-lap Sportsman Classic has brought teams in from far and wide on this holiday weekend to see if their star shines the brightest. We aren't playing around in this episode. There's a lot of racing to be done from Weedsport, and it's all coming up next on Speedway Showcase.
For the first time this season, Mother Nature is not an issue. Clear skies greening the Weedsport Speedway all afternoon and now into the night. A great evening for racing. Welcome everyone to Speedway Showcase. My name is Rich Fleck and this is the Sportsman Classic. $2,500 up on the line, and the product is 65 cars filling the pit area to make this one of the biggest sportsman shows of the year. It's a crown jewel event and we're glad to be bringing it to you over the next hour. 75 laps is the distance, and we're going to have a lot of action taking place on the D-shaped oval. Alongside me is Doug Elkins, and Doug, we always talk about Weedsport producing big sportsman races. This is the biggest.
Well, they race here every race. Weedsports puts sportsmen on the card for every race. Normally, they're a second and in some case a third division, but tonight they're headlining with extra distance, like you said, 75 laps. But I don't think any of us, Rich, expected this show to be this big. A lot of these guys just raced for 5 days in a row, 65 strong. It's going to be something tonight.
Now, this is the second sportsman feature of the year. First contested 8 days ago on a lockdown racetrack with no cautions. The result was one driver driving away to his first win here, and he's standing by with Paul Small in the pits.
There is a big field of cars here tonight, and for good reason. This Sportsman Classic is the premier event for the Sportsman division at Weedsport Speedway in 2017. Everybody wants to get in the feature event tonight. One of the guys they're going to be chasing is Kevin Ridley, who won here last time out. Kevin, the car was flawless that night.
Yeah, the car's really good last week. Car's really good again tonight. We're hoping for a similar result.
Is the track going to be any different tonight than it was a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really slippery tonight. The bottom's going to be really slick. The top in 3 and 4 looks like it's going to have quite a bit of a cushion. So look to see for guys running the top of 3 and 4 and trying to get to the bottom of 1 and 2. I think that's going to be the preferred line around this place the first 30 or 40 laps.
Kevin Ridley is one of the guys that's going to be shooting for the win tonight.
And in the qualifying heat races, Kevin wasted no time trying to duplicate his feat from a week ago. He got right out in front of the guy he beat 8 days ago, Tyler Trump.
Yeah, Tyler Trump's been running well lately, too. You see here early on, we had a car heading to the pits, and this is big news here. This is Ronnie Davis, one of the favorites tonight.
Yeah, Ronnie Davis, who won this race last year, was out, would have to head to the Consi, and nobody was touching Kevin Ridley. The caution never came out, and nobody ever reeled in the 20X.
He has been just magic here so far this year in Weedsport. He and Trump get the redraw spots where James Michael Friesen gets the final qualifier, finishing third.
Heat race number 2 would roll out with Zach Sabatka pulling away from Alan Fink and the rest of the field. This one not as clean as we saw in qualifier number 1. A couple drivers got mingled up. Here on lap number 2, Ricky Newton comes around in the 11 end.
And all by himself, too. What a great job by everybody to miss him. A couple of them got the wall, but still some nice driving.
Newton would actually spin out one more time before this race was over, and then the battle on between Taylor Caprera and Willie Decker Jr. They did this in a heat race 8 days ago, where they battled side by side for the final transfer spot. You see Decker on the 1X go to the inside, take that spot away, but on a late race restart, look at a 21 of Caprera up on the outside. He'd have to even go after Alan Fink for the number 2 spot.
And Taylor wore one of his brother Frankie Caprera's old driving suits, red, white, and blue here as we celebrate the 4th on this show, and he did some nice driving here.
Alan Fink, a winner last night at the Fulton Speedway, or 2 nights ago, would take the number 2 and final redraw spot, but it was all Zach Sabatka driving away to the win in the second qualifier.
Alan Fink was just running modifieds now. He dropped his late model program, and he finished second, got the last redraw spot.
Ben Wheeler jumps out in the front of heat race number 3. It gets a little jingled up in the back of the pack. Nick Waring would go into second in this qualifier, but watch the battle for the 3rd position. Tommy Collins down on the inside of the racetrack, and Rocky Warner, the flying squirrel, up on the top. Warner would be able to get that third spot taken away, get into the show, but he couldn't do anything further than that, and he would miss out on making the redraw. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal because you figure they're running 6 heats, top 2. If you don't make the redraw, here this one he's going to start 14th.
Ben Wheeler, the driver that is mostly a crew chief, doesn't run a whole lot of sportsman races, wins heat race number 3.
Nick Guerreri, Canandaigua regularly gets the spot. Like we said, Rocky Warner ends up 3rd, so he's in the show.
4th heat race looked a lot like the first heat race a week ago because Glenn Forward was out in front and Tyler Singleton and Todd Root both slapped the wall in turn number 1.
And Singleton ended up going all the way to the rear. Out in front, though, no problem for former Pro Stock racer Glenn Forward. You can see the comfortable margin he won by in heat number 4.
So Forward has 2 heat wins and 2 tries here at Weedsport this season. The 5th heat race had a good start for Kevin Root. He jumped out in front of Will Shields. A little bit further back in the pack, Nick Kraus and Kyle Dimitro get together. Dimitro got the worst of that one.
Yeah, he ended up in the back as well, and that is not where you want to be. Spin here by Jeremy Dygert, who trashed a car his first time here in Weedsport earlier.
Yeah, and it wasn't much better there in the qualifier. Same story, second verse for Charlie Tibbetts. He'd go up the racetrack and smack the outside of the turn 1 wall, and then watch this restart. Billy Clark Jr. on the inside of Will Shields for second.
Man, they were not playing nice right there, banging wheels, because it's an important spot. You get the redraw, otherwise you end up in 3rd, and you can see Clark was able to put a challenge for the lead there briefly.
Yeah, Clark had a win a few nights ago at Fulton as well, but he would make the redraw while Root picked up the heat race win.
And Will Shields, 3rd-generation racer, gets the last qualifying spot.
Final qualifier would see Kane Bristol out of Farmington, New York, jump into the race lead at the number 31. But it's the M1 of Dave Marchicelli, a former winner of this Sportsman Classic, that would be up for the challenge. And look at him with the slide job. And Bristol said, I'll take some of that and give it right back to you.
Well, they know each other well. They run together at Canandaigua. Marchicelli has had a great start to his season over there. So you know Kane Bristol would like to come here to somewhat neutral territory and beat the Canandaigua point leader.
Yeah, Bristol is 5th in points there, while Marchicelli is the points leader. It would be the M1 taking hold of the number 1 position, and then Canadian Shane Pecor with the slide job to get by the 31 of Bristol for the number 2 spot.
Yeah, one's Mohawk, Cornwall, all those areas up in northern New York and up in Canada as well. Jimmy Spano, veteran, you know he was looking forward to this show, but his engine was not.
No, he would be done for the night, and while Bristol would give chase to Pecor for the number 2 spot, the M1 of Dave Marchicelli would win the 6th and final heat race.
Not a surprise. He cut his teeth at this track. He knows it well. Looked good in that qualifier.
Still a lot of racing left to be done. You see the last chance qualifier on the racetrack. We'll have the highlights of that race, as well as the 3 consies that had to be run here tonight with 65 cars in the pits. You're watching Speedway Showcase.
Head out to Weedsport Speedway August 13th for the ESS Legends Reunion, presented by WAC 1420 AM and fueled by Pit Stop Convenience Stores. The Sportsman Shootout Series will continue their quest for total point domination. Make sure to check out the Gearbox for winning apparel and gifts. Bring out the whole family. There is something for everyone at Weedsport Speedway. See you at the port on August 13th.
Hey Central New York, Kaylee Nixon here for the Used Car King, and I'm so excited to tell you about Sun's Payment Vacation event. When you buy a car from Sun this month, you'll make no payments for 90 days. Shop from over 1,000 vehicles, cars starting at $78.88, trucks and SUVs starting at $12,888, and minivans starting at $14,888. And those who qualify make no payments for 90 days. Come see us in Cicero, Cortland, or Chittenango for our Payment Vacation event, or shop online at usedcarking.com.
Backed by popular demand, it's the Labor Day Double Play at Weedsport Speedway, presented by Parts Plus and powered by Wix Filters on September 4th. The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds make their final stop at the port in the 2017 season. The Northeast Best Sprint Car drivers will compete in the 360 Sprint Open, and the Dirt Car Pro Stock Series returns to Weedsport. This is the show you don't want to miss. See you at the port September 4th.
Welcome back to the Weedsport Speedway, where the consies just concluded. We'll have those highlights in just a moment. But first, it's this episode's edition of the ever-popular Kid Question.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm 12, and I want to know how car drivers pick their number.
I always was 20, and 20 was my number through go-karts and everything, and we went to the first race, and there was a car with another 20, so I guess the only logical thing was to throw a K on it, and that's what it's been since 2003.
From back when Tim Fuller run it with BNF Machine and stuff with the M, fits good with our name, with Marcaccelli, and then with the 1. And I don't know, I just kind of like the way it sounded. M1 just it sounds good.
Football number in high school. I didn't have a number when I was starting out, so I just thought back to what I played with football, and that's what we came up with.
This is Jake Steele. He's the 1J. He's been the 1J his whole racing career. This is Jake's stuff, his equipment. So it's all Jake, and I was kind of honored to run his stuff.
It was my dad's old number. He raced back in 98 and 99 here in Fulton, so that's where I got my number from.
My car number is 31 for J.J. Michaels. He ran modifieds here, Brewerton and Fulton, Utica for years against my father. And as a kid, he always treated me well, treated me with respect. And when he passed away, it hit me pretty hard. So we went with 31 for him.
That's a pretty easy one. My grandpa's, I honestly think this is his 60th year racing. He's always been number 82 or 2 or something close. So just keep it in the family and run number 82.
A lot of different responses there in our kid question, but there's no question. It doesn't matter what number you have in. You got to get your number in the show, and that was the battle we saw here in the first of 3. Consi's taking 3 drivers out of each, and the battle was on up front between Willie Decker Jr. and Rocco Leone.
Rocco Leone, a lot of years in sportsman competition, but Willie Decker Jr. just graduated from the novices last year. A little bit of a surprise with the win in this consolation race. He's in the show.
Along with Leone, and Eric Jaguar makes his way into the 75-lap feature. Tommy Collins jumped out in front of Consi number 2 ahead of Corey Barker. And you see some drivers jingle up back in the pack. Brandon Mashaw, Tim Murphy, and the Anthony Rasmussen 99K all getting collected in turn number 2.
There was some hard hits in the wall there, too. Corey Barker, will tell you a little more about him. He had an interesting night last night. Down on the inside, was able to take the lead from Collins, who is running more of this Hoosier Tire stuff here in Central New York.
Battle on for the number 2 spot, again taking 3. There's the 15 of Todd Root, the current points leader at the Fulton Speedway, while the Kyle Inman 20K would fall on the outside looking in. Barker would get the win in that one. Root and Collins also getting the transfer spots. That's a good good Consi right there.
Yeah, and Root had a bad crash a few weeks ago, still getting that car right.
Battle on for the number 2 spot in the 3rd. Consi as well. It was Nick Krause early, but Jackson Gill really got his car going on the top.
They are the Gill family, synonymous with racing in the North Country. Youngest of the family here. Normally runs up at the big track at Can-Am. Boy, he looked really good in this one. Krause and Cook also get in.
Just hanging it up on the top, and they would get in for the first 27 spots. There were a couple provisionals, and then we get into the last chance qualifier. Jeremy Diker didn't make that one work.
Brand new car, just brought it out to the track. Not just 1 lick, but 2. Heartbreaking. Racing's a cruel sport.
Andrew Buff would get out in front, but Ricky Newton tried to go after him. Was there contact? I'm not sure, but what we do know is that the leader, Buff, got spun around along with Ricky Thompson in the 1R. Here's another look at it. Doug, did he get him?
That's hard to tell. Was he already going around? That's where I'm glad I'm not a race director.
Well, the race director did decide that he had made contact and sent the 11N to the back. So on the final lap, Dave Schilling holding off CJ Castelletti down the back straightaway. Who would get the one final remaining option to get into the show? It would be a close one off the corner.
Dave Schilling, he knows this track. It's like Albany, Saratoga. Will he take the money? Will he start at the back? We'll see.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. I hate it for my buddy Andrew to get spun out in the lead like that, but that's racing. I guess if he can't win the race, then I'll take it. But we're definitely racing.
Well, I guess that answers the question. So that $300 check doesn't mean as much to you as starting spot number 31.
No, definitely not. They say we can have it, so I'll hang it on my wall. The big check's cool, but I don't want the money. I want to race.
Well, there you go. That's the answer. He's going to take starting spot number 31. Dave Schilling is in the Sportsman Classic.
So Dave will just take a quick picture before getting to the tail of the field. He will take the gamble instead of taking the money. Will it pay off? The 75-lap Sportsman Classic is coming up on the other side of this break. No need to adjust your TV. That's the LED display here at Weedsport, greeting 31 of the best sportsmen for the 75-lap Sportsman Classic. Who will win the $2,500? Well, it may have to do with what groove they use. And for more on that, our Paul Small filed this report just a moment ago.
Guys, the track here tonight at Weedsport has come up its usual characteristic self. On the bottom of the racetrack, there's plenty of bite. Here in the middle, it is super, super slick. This is a tough spot to get a hold of. Now, what they've done is they've actually pushed the cushion up at the top of the racetrack. They brought a grader out just before the feature event and took down the heavy stuff that was up here at the top in an attempt to widen out the racing groove. That's going to open up the top lane and allow drivers to get up on the outside.
So the field now set 31 cars moving around the racetrack for this 75-lap, $2,500 to win event. Our Sign Impressions race setup shows us this, and it's a lot different than a normal Saturday night feature.
It really is. The best of the best from all over Central New York, from Canada, Pennsylvania. They're all here today, and just making this 31-car field was quite an achievement on its own.
If you go through the weekly racetracks around Central New York, at least 60 to 80% of the top 10 in points are represented from each of those racetracks. It is definitely a who's who of racing. You go all the way back through the field. You got guys like Rocky Warner starting back in 15. Will Shields, Kane Bristol, they all have wins at their local racetracks, starting well back in the pack. And we're not even to some of the cars that had to come through, like Todd Root in the Conti. He's starting back in 23rd. Tommy Collins is a points leader. Ronnie Davis, the winner of this event last year, starts 28th. Amazing.
Yeah, you look through the field, and there's David Schilling, a guy who runs really well out to the east a little bit. So 31 cars, 75 laps. As we mentioned before, Rich, best of the best come to Weedsport for these Sportsman Specials. Bragging rights on the line as we look out the back of Dave Marchicelli.
Yep, 4 onboards. Dave Marchicelli, Kevin Ridley, Rocky Warner, and the Ronnie Davis 32R starting way back in 28. Ready to give us some pretty cool images as we get ready to go green. 75 laps in the Sportsman Classic. Out of turn number 4, it's underway.
Well, I don't know who picked those 4 cameras, but boy, those are 4 of the guys that really are sort of the 4 best in this division. And again, they just regrouped the racetrack, so early on here you got to feel out where the car wants to work. You can see Billy Clark trying that outside where the clay does look a little tackier.
Yeah, Clark running that rim up on the outside of the racetrack. He's fallen back to 3rd as Glenn Forward leads lap number 1.
And a lot of times the early going too, where you start influences where you're going to run for a while. Yeah, you like the bottom, but you're starting on the outside. Well, that was a nice move right there. So you got to ride it up there for a little bit, see how it feels, and then, okay, now make my way to the bottom, kind of like working your way through rush hour traffic on Erie Boulevard.
There's the 8 of Alan Fink in the number 8 spot, a driver that has 2 wins already this weekend. He won at Brewerton on Friday night, Fulton at Saturday night, and is trying to move his way forward right now as Nick Guerri looks into the top 5 underneath Tyler Trump.
You were talking about Fink. He's had probably his best season so far in a Sportsman, and the reason is they were running late models and Sportsman last year.
Mod lights.
And mod lights on occasion. They sold the late model towards the end of the year. They bought another Sportsman. He said, I'm going to concentrate on this and this only, and it's made a huge difference.
Absolutely, as he is the point leader up at the other D-shaped oval in Central New York, the Brewerton Speedway. Battle side by side right now for the 4th position. Here comes Nick Guerri to the inside of Tyler Trump. And it looks like he's going to have that spot, but Trump fights back hard on the outside.
Trump's family owned Brewerton Speedway decades ago, so they're a true racing family, and they've got big plans for this young man, hoping someday they can move him up to modified as Trump gets a spot.
Yeah, he's got a win at Brewerton earlier this season and had that 2nd place run here 8 days ago. That was a strong performance in that caution-free 25-lap event.
Yeah, and he was playing football at the end of last year in high school. They had a race. He decided to go to the race. The coach said, okay, we'll see you later, and he's no longer playing football.
Hey, it doesn't matter right now. He's looking good in front of the field as Dave Marchicelli starts to close in on Glenn Forward for the number 1 spot. And Forward's been hanging up on the top side, but it looked like his car got a little bit out of shape entering turns 3 and 4.
Another guy who had to trim his schedule to include only Sportsman, ran Pro Stocks there for a long time, tried to do both. Said he was picking up bad habits for the Pro Stock, but he is a guy who has really impressed a lot of people. Limited time in the division. This is just the start of his 3rd year, but Glenn Forward is now one of the guys to beat in this class. Oh, look at this.
Wow, 3 wide down on the bottom of turn number 3 and 4. It's for the 9th position, and Alan Fink just got run over by 2 of the best. Rocky Warner down on the inside, and James Michael Friesen from over in the Niagara Frontier. They're side by side now for the number 9 spot.
That's pretty close there too, Rich.
Yeah, exactly. And Friesen's a former winner of this event back in 2014.
And of course has the famous last name. Ooh, that was not close there. That was actual contact there. So those guys were racing hard. And of course Rocky Warner, who we were watching from, the only driver in the field who is a professional race car driver. That's all he does is run Sportsman, and he does it well enough that he can make a living doing it.
Absolutely. He and Jake Spraker teamed up a few years ago to see, can we do this on a Sportsman program, and they've been pretty effective. He had a win here last year in June, so 13 months ago, trying to go back at it in the 1J, still driving down the inside. And remember, he started back in 15th, so as he moves to the inside of Friesen, looks to move up 6 spots in 12 laps.
And here's Kevin Ridley. We saw him last time as he's making his way through as we get a peek as the leader is now catching traffic. And this is some good lap traffic. These are good cars ahead of him.
Well, 75 laps, obviously 3 times longer than a normal feature, but you also have a 31 car field, and that's a lot bigger than we're used to here at Weedsport. We usually are at about 26 or 28, so it's a lot more dense, and you can see with the slick conditions as well, they're going to reel in the back of the field even quicker.
Well, what's one of the old sayings we have? Sometimes it's better when you're approaching slower traffic to be the guy in second. So you're watching Marcaccelli. He's in that blue M1 at the bottom, and he's going to watch and see what forward does. And he's not going to watch for very long. He's going to take a shot at him.
And here he goes down to the inside, looking for the race lead. Marcaccelli puts it down to the bottom, looks to slide up, and we've got a new race leader. Here as we complete lap number 14, it's the M1 of Dave Marcaccelli.
And you can see forward's going to try to get right back down on the inside. And look at the difference from what we saw in the heats. A lot of the guys were running the bottom and make it work. Yeah, Marcaccelli made the pass on the bottom, but where did he go right after that? Right to the top of the racetrack where the tacky clay is.
Well, as Doug Paul showed it earlier, that middle groove's kind of worn out, but if you can make it stick on the outside, it might be there at least for right now. Forward still trying to get around the Jessica Power lap car. Looks like he's able to do it finally. And for the M1, things are not going to get any easier. You got Thomas Cook, you got the 20S of our last chance qualifier winner, Dave Schilling, and they're running side by side right in front of the leader.
No place to go for Marcaccelli right now except that middle that you were just talking about. And the middle's an interesting groove because usually the guys will run, the guys and girls in this case, really down by that barrier or way out by the wall. So there are little times in the race where that middle is the fast place, but you can see as soon as he went there, he got right out of it.
Well, our first feature of the year a week ago went 25 laps caution-free. I don't know if this one will go caution-free, but we're already into the 18th lap, and we have not seen the yellow flag from Dave Hardy.
The Sportsman competition level has really amped up here in central New York. A lot of tracks running novice classes now, which make it so that the drivers that are just getting started have a place to race with other guys of the ability. So what it's done for these sportsmen like this, it's just taken the level off the chart. I mean, it used to be, you remember Rich years ago, right? You'd have caution every 2, 3, 4 laps. It's not like that anymore.
Here's the battle for the number 7 spot. The Flying Squirrel, Rocky Warner, going after Shane Pecor, the Canadian, slides up and takes that spot away, at least for the moment. Pecor fights back hard to the inside. And as you mentioned earlier, Pecor, a driver that runs up in the North Country, the Brockville, Ontario Speedway, where he's 3rd in points, has a number of wins there over the course of the season already. And this is probably the only time we'll see him in central New York running here at Weedsport all season long. Rocky Warner, though, boy, he is on a rail trying to go after his first Sportsman Classic win.
Yeah, usually we see Pecor in central New York in the spring before those North Country tracks open up, and then we see him again after September. Oh, and there's that yellow flag we were wondering about.
It's Nick Kraus, the driver that finished 9th here in our first show earlier this season out of Parrish. He has come to a slowing halt and will go into the pits. So we are under caution for the first time. Got a lot of racing left to be done. We'll see it when we come back.
Your kids are off to college. You inherit 2 big dogs. You need an SUV. How about a like new Chevy Equinox? $60 a week. All polished up and good to go today. 1 hour delivery. Billy Whitaker's. Let me tell you about my first-time buyer's plan. You have a True Zero score, you make over $1,000 a month, and you're on the job for more than 6 months? Good, you qualify. And you can be driving today. $40 a week, and you're good to go today.
Backed by popular demand, it's the Labor Day Double Play at Weedsport Speedway, presented by Parts Plus and powered by Wix Filters on September 4th. The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds make their final stop at the port in the 2017 season. The Northeast Best Sprint Car drivers will compete in the 360 Sprint Open, and the Dirt Car Pro Stock Series returns to Weedsport. This is the show you don't want to miss. See you at the port September 4th.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit WeedsportProductions.com to secure your dates for 2017.
Welcome back to the Weedsport Speedway, where Dave Marchicelli leads 20 laps into the 75-lap Sportsman Classic. The field is about ready to go back green, but before they do, let's send it down to Paul.
Guys, Kevin Ridley did not get a good draw and was kind of stuck in the field in this first long green flag stint. He thought maybe running the outside of 3 and 4 and the inside of 1 and 2 would be the fast lane, but he's actually made progress to work his way up into the top 6, and he's done that by running the bottom all the way around.
Well, the track's so different than it was last time when Ridley went to victory lane. He could just throttle down on the inside of the racetrack. Now it's a little bit different. Even though he's making some move on the bottom, it's a different way and a different throttle point that he is working on. We're back to green here on lap number 21. Still a lot of racing to go here in the Sportsman Classic.
And the other thing, too, is you could sit there in the staging area, and as you make your setup changes to get ready for figures, say, yeah, I'm going to run up high here, I'm going to run down low. But until you get out there and see what's going on with the racetrack, you really don't know.
How about Nick Guerri? He's gone from 5th to 3rd down to the bottom of the racetrack, although he might go back to 4th as Billy Clark Jr. up on the outside of the speedway, really rim grinding right now in that 99C, and they're going to remain side by side for the 3 spot.
And I don't blame Ridley for sticking where he is right now. He's following a fast hot rod down on the inside of the racetrack, so that's another factor sometimes too. You see a guy working through, just get on his tail, and I'll race with him later.
Boy, nice job by Billy Clark, who got his first win of 2017 2 nights ago up at Fulton. He was able to lose the spot, but stay to his marks up on the top and get 3rd taken back away. Ridley now up into the top 5, looking to slide the 25G of Nick Guerri, then Tyler Trump right there, and here comes Rocky Warner.
Ridley and Guerri actually work out of the same shop. They are very good friends, so you know they're going to run each other clean, and Ridley got a little wide that time.
And side by side we go for 6th. Warner on the inside, Trump upstairs. Warner shuts it down, and it looks like Tyler Trump's able to hold him off. Doing a great job in that 9X.
And Warner's probably sitting there going, man, I wish I would have had a little bit better starting spot. Should have had one more spot in the qualifying heat. Would have made a big difference here because he might be the fastest car on the track right now.
And one of the reasons for that may be what we do to qualify these cars. They run a timed hot lap, which sets your starting order. Rocky was not the quickest in his respective qualifying heat and had to start back in 4th. And that only got him up to 3rd. Otherwise, he would have been redraw eligible.
And you can watch now, Ridley is trying to make some room on the bottom, but Guerri's not giving him any. Oh, he's got a shot at him this time. I do not see him. Oh, there he is, just on the outside. But I got to tell you, these guys are racing real hard.
They're doing awesome, and you see Guerri go and throw the block, and now Ridley might have him. Turn 1 and 2 is so critical, and maybe made a little contact with each other as well.
And you can see Guerri's car just not holding the bottom down in turn 1. And this track, kind of like Brewerton a little bit, turn 1 and 2 sets you up for all the way around the racetrack. If you miss your mark in turn 1, somebody gets underneath you, that's going to mess you up for an entire lap, maybe 2.
And Trump tried to go in there, got a little bit hot in the 9X, and now Rocky Warner going back after him. And as we see this right now, we've got to give a call to the track crew. They have been on point all night long. We had a beautiful day finally to go racing, and this track is showing its characteristic self. Slick in the middle, a little bit of bite on the bottom, but you can go up top as well.
And you can see Rocky Warner down on the inside. And just to jump on what you were saying about the track crew, beautiful day. Yeah, good for asphalt racing, not for dirt. You water the track, it evaporates. It is the most challenging situation to work in and get a good racing surface.
And we've turned a ton of laps of it. We had 65 cars running hot laps, heats, 3 consies, a last chance qualifier, plus the other divisions that are here today, and very little time for intermission. So they are doing an awesome job. The 3-car battle for the number 5 spot continues to go on. Meanwhile, the leader, Dave Marchicelli, has caught the back of the field once again, as it looks like it takes about 15 laps to catch the rear of the field.
And this is the time of the race when you feel the most comfortable as a driver. You feel there's nobody behind you. You got a little bit of time to kind of survey the lap cars. That's about the only time you, and I don't want to use the word relax, but you're not as stressed. And that was Marchicelli just going midway down the backstretch on the outside right now.
Yeah, just kind of keeping it smooth, going after Jessica Power. Power's down on the inside of the racetrack, and boy, if you can stand on the throttle like the M1 is up on the top, looking good as he goes after Rocco Leone.
Rocco Leone, a former Utica Rome regular, switched to Brewerton this year, a place where he cut his teeth running Mod Lights. Been trying to get a handle on that car, so he's probably one of the guys just happy to make the show and hope to get some laps and get some data for next time.
Yeah, guy 12th in points up there, and just ahead of him is Thomas Cook in the 35 and the 99 of Ben Wheeler, one of our heat race winners.
Yeah, Ben Wheeler driving that old Chuck Bauer car. That still looks weird to see that yellow 99 out there in the Sportsman division. We've got a car against the wall, and that's Kyle Inman.
Kyle Inman has come to a stop, so for the second race in a row, the Genesee Speedway point leader is going to be done early. Not quite halfway through the Sportsman Classic here at the Weedsport Speedway on Speedway Showcase. It's Dave Marcichelli out in front of Glenn Forward, doubled up for this restart, Doug, and that really makes things interesting.
Yeah, a lot of series, they would go to single file after halfway or after so many caution laps. The double file restart, it can help you and hurt you, because if you've been running the bottom and you're on the outside, now it's going to hurt you, but also gives you a chance to get close to those guys who are right in front of you.
And we take a look at the onboard, some of the drivers that like the double file restart, like a guy in Rocky Warner. He's 15th to 7th, but he's only 4 rows behind the leader, Dave Marcichelli, who gets a great restart into turn number 1 and 2, and the battle's on for the second spot. Forward is going to hold off Billy Clark, and now Clark is under attack.
This is nice. Guerreri down on the inside of Ridley. Billy Clark on the outside as Glenn Forward scoots away. Who's going to come out of there? Billy Clark's going to keep 3rd place.
Yeah, now who's going to get 4th? We saw Nick Guerreri and the 20 exit Kevin Ridley before that caution side by side. You see Rocky Warner just behind them trying to figure out where to go. Corey Barker there as well has come from 20th up into the number 9 spot as Guerreri's got a good run going, but he's going to have to shut it down and fall back to 5th and maybe 6th as Tyler Trump gets himself back into the top 5.
A nice move by Ridley. Remember, he was trying Guerreri on the inside, got stuck on the outside on the restart. He's making that thing work out there, and you can see how far out to the wall they're getting over there in 1 and 2.
And that's because they have to send it in with so much speed and the car doesn't drift. Ooh, Trump got a little bit out of shape there. And here comes Corey Barker side by side for 6th. Now it's 7th as Rocky Warner goes back to the inside. But Barker's starting to put his name up in the mix. Last year, won the last chance event and said, I'm going to take the $300 and go home. He didn't even run the feature.
And, you know, you can't blame him. I mean, 31st place, starting at the back like that, you do more than $300 worth of damage to the car. Yeah. It's the only decision that the driver can make, and Corey Barker was actually at the hospital. Oh, there's contact there. Is Guerreri going around?
No, he keeps it going.
Nice save.
And here comes Taylor Caprera looking to capitalize on it. The Can-Am Speedway points leader drives to the inside, and he might have 7th place in the number 21.
No time to think. You got to react, and that's what Taylor Caprera did right there. Picked up 1 spot, now looking for 2. Look at Shane Peacock getting in the mix in the 0 car.
And here comes the 32R of Ronnie Davis III, RD3, the winner of this race last year. Started back in 28th on a provisional. He's 3 wide for 9th.
And actually, he was last. I remember at the very first lap, I was looking at the back of the field. People got jingled up. He was actually last at one point, so give him a lot of credit to make his way to the front as we see Caprera and Guerreri going after it. There's Barker down on the inside in the 31.
And Ronnie Davis has got to feel good, too, because last week came out here, got lapped, finished in 20th. That's not what he's accustomed to doing. He was 2nd in points here at the port last year.
Yeah, and now working his way back up through, and obviously has a fast race car. Guerreri doesn't seem to be able to hold the inside in 1 and 2. I think his car is fading badly. Look at him as he goes up under the cushion. Corey Barker's going to take a shot at him now in turn 4.
And that's bad news with 34 laps. We got a lot of racing left to be done.
Well, you know what they say, it's not how good your car is the first 15 laps, it's how good it is the last 15 laps, and that's where you need that crystal ball in the pit area to figure out not what's just going on with the track, but what's going to happen with the car.
Side by side, Corey Barker, does he have the 8th spot away from Nick Guerreri? Not at the line.
Nope, not quite. Still watching Davis now down on the inside, and as he tries to continue to make his way to the front, Shane Peacock working the top. How far out do you drive? How far deep do you go in on the bottom? You can see that little bit of brown. He's getting those left side tires in, but when they get to turn 4, that brown is gone.
Rocky Warner, is it time for the 1J to go into the top 5? He almost has Trump set up. He's got a big run down into turn number 3. Let's see what the Flying Squirrel does. Slides up in front and will take it away. Wow, that was a nifty move.
That was that slide job 101 right there. As long as the driver behind you doesn't have to hit the brakes or lift, it's a clean shot slide job. It looked like Tyler Trump was trying to get him back there, just fell a little short.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see a slide job where the driver bumps into the left front of the driver they're trying to pass. That didn't happen there. Maybe Trump isn't in love with it, but at the same time, this is the Sportsman Classic, and the driver's trying to go forward.
Jessica Power, who's come a long way, just watching as the leader, is going to go by her. You can see Rocco Leone there on the inside. Marcichelli, I think we were smart to put the camera out the back of his car so we could watch the people trying to chase him.
That's working out quite well right now, but Glenn Forward is starting to close in on him a little bit as they work around the Ben Wheeler lap car, and it looks like the M1 will be able to get on by, and it's been helpful for him to be so good on the top because a lot of these lap cars are trying to stick it to the inside.
Yeah, we're just past halfway, so I think we're going to go away for a little break here, Rich, and come back with more action from Weedsport.
Make this spring all about enjoying the experience. When you ride on your new Ferris commercial mower, featuring patented suspension technology, you'll have more than freshly manicured grass. You'll experience productivity and comfort like never before. And because you won't be slowing down for those rough spots, you'll mow more lawn in less time. Ferris, experience suspension.
Hey, Central New York, Kaylee Nixon here for the Used Car King, and I'm so excited to tell you about Sun's Payment Vacation event. When you buy a car from Sun this month, you'll make no payments for 90 days. Shop from over 1,000 vehicles, cars starting at $78.88, trucks and SUVs starting at $12,888, and minivans starting at $14,888. And those who qualify make no payments for 90 days. Come see us in Cicero, Cortland, or Chittenango for our Payment Vacation event, or shop online at usedcarking.com.
Head out to Weedsport Speedway August 13th for the ESS Legends Reunion, presented by WAC 1420 AM and fueled by Pit Stop Convenience Stores. The Sportsman Shootout Series will continue their quest for total point domination. Make sure to check out the Gearbox for winning apparel and gifts. Bring out the whole family. There is something for everyone at Weedsport Speedway. See you at the port on August 13th.
Back here to the Weedsport Speedway where the green flag continues to be displayed, and Rocky Warner has gotten himself up into the number 4 spot, getting by last week's winner Kevin Ridley, and now setting his sights on the top 3 and Billy Clark Jr. in that 99.
Yeah, they've been racing while we're on break there, and we're watching some good racing action here as really Warner has been just really something on the bottom, and if anything, he's still going to be sitting there right now going, man, I wish I had a better starting spot, but Billy Clark has been tough to get by, and you can see him, you can hear him working that throttle as he tries to get by the inside. He might have him this time.
Yeah, he might. He goes down now. He drives right through the middle and slides up, and it looks like Clark did have to stab the brakes, tried to do a crossover, couldn't do it, so Warner is up into the top 3.
But now he's got more slower traffic here in front of him. Willie Decker Jr. Right there in front of him, who's watched the leader still getting through traffic. That's Kane Bristol, who just got lapped, as we watch Clark trying to track down the 1J of Warner.
And remember, we saw Kane Bristol and Dave Marcichelli battling for the race lead in a heat race earlier tonight. So, boy, things have changed as the evening has rolled along. Willie Decker Jr. right in front of Rocky Warner. Similar looking paint schemes as the 1J will get by that lapped automobile and now go after Tommy Collins up on the outside of the racetrack as the Albany-Saratoga Speedway point leader gets by the Thunder Mountain Speedway point leader.
It's almost like Rocky Warner knew that Decker was going to slide it before he even knew. I mean, that's what getting a lot of laps and racing 3, 4, 5 times a week does for him.
Forward, still within striking distance, though. That is important to note. Also important, noteworthy is the 82 of Will Shields just went a lap down. He was 3rd here a week ago.
That's true. He was running really well out there right now. So the big thing for Marcichelli is, at this point, don't make a mistake. Be smooth. Continue to hit your marks. Don't take any crazy chances with lap traffic. And one of the things that the leader does have an advantage with Dave Farney on the flag stand, he gives hand signals to the leader to let him know if their lead is growing, getting shorter. So that's the one thing, is every now and then you come by, you can glance up there very quickly. If he's got his hands way far apart, you know you've got a little breathing room.
It's It's been a good year for Marcuccelli. 3 wins at his regular track at Canandaigua, 1 at Utica, 1 at Outlaw, I believe, and 1 at Fulton, but none here at what he would consider his hometown racetrack just down the road from his home in Cayuga.
And you can see the car they lapped there. That's one of the other Guerreri's family members. He got off to a good start, winning a couple of races early on out there at Canandaigua. As you can see, the traffic still getting pretty good. Look at that, James Michael Friesen now is in front of the leader, a guy we thought had a chance to win this thing today.
And a winner here back in 2014 of the Sportsman Classic. But Friesen's been running a little bit more part-time this year in the 52F and does go a lap down, and they're closing in on the Mike Stanton Jr. 3X with just 13 laps remaining.
Another high schooler there, Mike Stanton, hasn't won a race since last July. Been very, very fast this year. He's just been in the wrong place, wrong time a couple times, opening in caution. I believe that's just our 3rd caution of the race.
As the Jackson Gill 60 comes around to the inside of turn number 3, so with just a dozen laps left to go to decide who will win the 2017 edition of the Sportsman Classic. Field ready to go green and 1 more lap. Just 13 laps remain here in the Sportsman Classic. Dave Marcuccelli trying to win it for the 2nd time in the last 3 years, but Glenn Forward was closing in before that caution came out, Doug.
Yeah, Forward led early and really was staying right with Marcuccelli through traffic. You got to give Marcuccelli a lot of credit. He has worked traffic very well, but I'm sure if you look at the lap times, him and Glenn Forward have got to be really close.
This is what it's all about. The final few laps of one of the biggest races of the year. The M1 stands on it, gets out in front, and we might have a battle for 2nd as Warner's going after Glenn Forward.
And Warner has been waiting for this opportunity. A little contact there. Forward goes up the track. That might cost him 2nd spot.
It very well could, as the 1J of Rocky Warner drives to the inside. Will he try the slide job that we've seen him use all night long? He goes up the speedway and will make Forward back out of it. So Warner is up into the number 2 spot, and here comes Kevin Ridley for 3rd.
It only took him 63 laps to get to this point where you can actually see the leader's bumper. Marcuccelli and Warner, they know each other well. They've won a lot of races. They've pitted next to each other for a long period of time. This should be quite a show out front now.
Yeah, they're probably 2 of the best sportsman drivers around, but they are pretty good buddies in the pit area.
Of course, there was an incident at the end of last year where they were pitting next to each other for a little while. I don't think they were here today, but they say it's tough to have friends and race up front, and you can understand that because sometimes things happen, and hopefully nothing like that will happen today as Roddy Davis still working the field.
Yeah, he's going after 7th place after starting back in 28th. And Corey Barker looking to crack into the top 5 with his number 31. And it looks like he's going to do it off the bottom of turn number 2. Drives to the inside of Tyler Trump. Barker sticks it right down on the inside, and he's got the spot.
Yeah, a couple of guys that run primarily here in the Central New York region. Of course, Corey's dad, John, was one of the old Outlaw Circuit regulars back in the 358 alcohol days. They were in the sail panels and drag rubber. So he's grown up around this stuff. And boy, Forward's car just doesn't seem to work through the corners anymore, does it?
No, as I think that bottom line's really starting to come in, and you know the deal, Doug. You get a little bit off your mark like Forward did. It's so tough to get it back together.
Yeah, and all of a sudden the car goes straight on you. Now you got to get it back in the set again, get it driving off that right rear. Easier said than done, but I'm impressed with what Corey Barker has done here. I mean, this is a guy who spent 11 hours in the emergency room last night, and 2 nights ago, excuse me. So, for him to be running as well as he did, they couldn't even get his helmet on Saturday night. He's been pumping fluids in him and still not 100% right now.
But the car's running at 100%. Nice kid, too. You talked to him in the pit area, very personable, and has done a great job with us getting some of our segments produced here on Speedway Showcase. But he wants a little bit more. Forward still trying to hang in the top 5. Forward was 4th in our opening show 2 weeks ago. He was 1 spot ahead of Dave Marcuccelli, but right now nobody's in front of the M1. There are just 5 more laps left to go.
And Rocky Warner worked all that time, all those laps to catch up to Marcuccelli, and now he's watching Marcuccelli get smaller. As Dave clearly has the fastest car tonight. There's Rocky in the shot. You can see he's definitely not gaining on him.
No, he isn't. Without a yellow, nothing will change right now. And there it is. There's the caution. Mike Stanton Jr. is around in turn number 1 and 2, and that's going to set up one heck of a finish as the 3M has come around in turn number 1.
Yeah, that's a tough break for him, but a good break for Rocky Warner. They have adjustments they can make inside the car. Maybe you can change the brake bias around or something like that and maybe get the car a little faster.
All right, let's see if we've got anything on the replay. No, just at the end of it, Mike Stanton came around and slammed on the brakes. Before we go back green, let's send it down to Paul.
Well, this is going to be a pretty interesting scenario, guys, with 5 laps left to go. Glenn Forward found the top lane didn't work for him on the last restart, and he's fallen back. Kevin Ridley has found the top lane. It looks like he was starting to catch Rocky Warner when this caution flag flew for the Mike Stanton spin. Now the real question is, where will Dave Marchicelli line up, and can Rocky Warner capitalize if he goes where Marchicelli doesn't?
You know, we've seen the M1 run on the outside of the racetrack once they get going, but he's been on the bottom for every restart, and it looks to pay off again as Warner goes after him.
And of course the leader does have
choice.
choice.
The wall.
He just bounced off the wall. So yeah, and the leader has choice. So sometimes you want to go where you're better. Sometimes you want to put the other guy where he's not.
Wow, and the M1 got a little bit of a break there as Warner lost a lot of momentum, but here he comes to the inside.
Obviously the car's okay. You can see Marchicelli has changed his lineup considerably, and you know Rocky Warner was watching that wall a little closer when he came by that time.
4 more laps left to go, and Warner's just searching around knowing he's got to throw everything at it. Has to be perfect here with just over a mile left to go. Sends it down to the inside, not looking to make the pass here, but get the momentum built up for that ever-important turn number 1.
Yeah, this lap doesn't matter. Even the next lap really doesn't matter. It's all watching where Marchicelli might have a bit of a pattern going on, where he leaves the door open. But right now, I still think Marchicelli's about a tenth or two quicker right now.
Well, I think he's starting to hit his marks again, too, and get that momentum built up on the outside of the racetrack that has gotten him to where he's at right now. Took the lead lap back on lap number 15 and has led the last 58 circuits around and is still rim riding with a lap and a half remaining.
And no lap traffic in front of him either. That's the other big thing. He can choose his line, he can go wherever he wants, and he's going to see the white flag this time.
Well, he's a former track champion, started his career in the Enduros here at the Weedsport Speedway, but back last season did not get a win, and that really bugged him.
It did.
So here in his second race of 2017 at the Weedsport Speedway, he comes off at turn number 4, and for the second time wins the Sportsman Classic.
Rocky Warner will have to settle for second at the line. Corey Barker sneaks by the inside to take third from Kevin Ridley.
And Glenn Forward, the early leader, will round out the top 5. So a little late chase at the end, not enough for Rocky Warner. Dave Marchicelli will be headed to Victory Hill, and we're going to go down to greet him when we come back.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit weedsportproductions.com to secure your dates for 2017.
Your kids are off to college. You inherit 2 big dogs. You need an SUV. How about a like-new Chevy Equinox? $60 a week. All polished up and good to go today. 1-hour delivery. Billy Whitaker's. Let me tell you about my first-time buyer's plan. You have a true zero score, you make over $1,000 a month, and you're on the job for more than 6 months? Good. You qualify. And you can be driving today. $40 a week and you're good to go today.
Backed by popular demand, it's the Labor Day Double Play at Weedsport Speedway, presented by Parts Plus and powered by Wix Filters on September 4th. The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds make their final stop at the port in the 2017 season. The Northeast Best Sprint Car drivers will compete in the 360 Sprint Open, and the Dirt Car Pro Stock Series returns to Weedsport. This is the show you don't want to miss. See you at the port September 4th.
We're back on Speedway Showcase here from the Weedsport Speedway, where Dave Marchicelli has parked his potent M1 on Victory Hill for the second time as a winner of the Sportsman Classic. He took the lead on lap number 16 and never looked back, holding off Rocky Warner down the stretch. Let's go down to Victory Hill and hear from the man of the hour. He's with Paul.
Dave Marcuccelli climbing down on the roof, off the roof of the car here, picking up his second Sportsman Classic here at Weedsport Speedway. And Dave, congratulations, number one, on a fantastic performance with this car.
Oh man, it was good from the drop of the green all the way to the end. But man, I think it's happy and relieved too, because I thought with 5 to go with that restart, I didn't know Rocky's so good on restarts. I didn't really know where he was running, and I was just worried he was going to roll that top and get right by me. So
he had been running that inside outline coming off of 4 a couple of times to make passes, so you had to be worried about that.
Oh, definitely worried. It's Rocky. He's one of the best sportsman drivers, so you're always nervous when you got to restart next to him.
You wanted this one bad, I could tell earlier tonight. How good does this feel right now?
Oh, it feels great, especially after not winning here for a whole year, and then come back and win this one. And man, my daughter's a good luck charm or something, because I think we've won 5 out of 6 races where she's redrawn for me, and this is 3 in a row on this series. So, man, what a year this is becoming.
Dave Marcuccelli celebrating in Victory Lane here at Weedsport.
You think he's pumped up right now, Doug?
Yeah, just a little bit. Not winning at his favorite track in over a year. He's loving it right now, and I have his feeling his daughter's going to do the redraws the rest of the year.
That's probably a good point. He started back in 3rd, quickly got to 2nd, but in the lap traffic, chased down early leader Glenn Forward, made a move down to the inside, and even though he ran the top for most of the event, made a key pass on the bottom off the 4.
That's where experience at a racetrack really helps right there. Rocky Warner did not get a good starting spot, did not get a redraw position, but he was a big factor in this.
Yeah, 15th. Got to 3rd here on lap 55, getting by Billy Clark with that slide job he did, 3 times on the night. And then Glenn Forward started to reel in the M1 of Marcuccelli, got a caution, got a restart, maybe made a little contact with the M1, made his bid, but he couldn't stay in the number 2 spot because the Flying Squirrel was on a mission.
And I wonder if that little bit of contact, these are open wheel cars, might have just changed the toe a little bit or something in the front end, because he didn't seem the same after this, did he, Rich?
And Warner knew that was his opportunity, got to 2nd, had a restart with 5 to go, but smacked the front stretch retaining wall. And that probably made a little bit of a difference entering turn number 1.
It didn't look that hard from the in-car shot that we saw at the time, but when you looked at it from that angle, he really slapped that thing hard.
And Warner would try a few more times, but had nothing for the M1. Still 2nd place for the Flying Squirrel. He's down with Paul in Victory Hill.
With our 2nd place finisher tonight, Rocky Warner, and you had to work really hard to get the 2nd spot.
Yeah, definitely. I said, you guys interviewed me earlier tonight. I said the biggest thing you got to do is time trial well, and we didn't. We were about a half a second off the pace in our group. We started 4th and finished 3rd, which put us out of the redraw. Starting 15th, I'm kind of stoked. It ain't a win, but it's like one, So hats off to Dave and his team and the crew. Them guys are the master of this place, and this is one of their sandboxes. And starting up front, you're not going to pass that guy very easy. You know what I mean? And so we need some lap traffic to even have a chance, and we didn't get that opportunity.
That's Rocky Warner, your 2nd place finisher here tonight.
And you could tell with that interview as Rocky gives hugs to the Marcuccelli family, but he was basically like trying to hit it inside straight. He knew it was going to take a lot of work to get that lead, had to have it all go right, and it didn't.
I wonder if that last caution helped him or hurt him, too. That's the other thing. Corey Barker, look at the run from him from 20th to 3rd. And how about Dave Schilling? Remember we were talking about him? Is he going to take the spot at the $300? 31st to 9th, that's a heck of a run.
And 28th to 6th for the defending winner of this event, Ronnie Davis III. 16 cars finished on the lead lap. The last one being Matt Guerry. Nick Guerry fell at the end of the show, but good racing throughout and good quality. I mean, this is one of the best sportsman races you're going to find all year long.
Yeah, and this is the one that everybody wants, all the drivers that come here. This is the Sportsman Classic. They had a huge crowd on hand tonight. They did a $20 carload night at the front gate, really packed the place.
And only 5 of the 31 starters did not finish. Unbelievable. 26 running at the end.
That's great.
3rd place down with Paul.
The hard charge tonight was definitely Corey Barker. Won a Consi, started 20th, and you wind up here on Victory Hill with a 3rd place. That's a pretty good night.
Yeah, I mean, this time yesterday I was just getting out of the hospital and didn't think we were even coming here today. I ended up coming here. Last year we didn't qualify, so we were happy just to make it in the show. But to come from 20th to 3rd is outstanding. I really hope we can keep these runs going, keep staying in the top 10. we've been in the top 10 all year and couldn't be happier.
Corey Barker putting on the big charge tonight to take the third spot.
Well, Corey Barker obviously happy with his finish. We'll see how he can do in our final show from Weedsport here in 2017 on Speedway Showcase. That's coming up in 2 weeks, our Hall of Fame special, plus one more episode of Speedway Showcase coming up in September, the Triple Crown Showdown from Ush Weekend.
Yeah, look at that top 3 down there in victory lane. 3 of the best drivers in the area. Corey Barker, great run for him out of the hospital and gets a podium finish.
75 laps, 65 cars, and great racing surface. What a night it was here at Weedsport.